Just because we know what to do, we know how to do it, and we know why it is valuable, doesn't mean we actually do those super important tasks. There are times in which we have a task on our to-do list that we don't do today, and then we don't do it tomorrow, and we don't do it the next day. And at a certain point, we start beating ourselves up because we know how important it is, but for some reason, we're just not doing it because there's no logical reason to avoid it. Well, that's because it's not a logical reason that you are avoiding it. There is some hidden resistance that is holding you back. Today, what we're going to do is we're going to talk about my favorite tool for being able to uncover the reason why we aren't taking action and what we can do about it. This is Monterastelli, and welcome to the Tapping Q&A podcast recorded live to tape from Williamsburg in Brooklyn. This is episode 559, originally aired May 17th, 2023. Hi, everyone. I hope this finds you well wherever you are and whatever time of day you're getting a chance to listen to this. Thanks for spending a little time with me today. Today, we're actually starting a brand new series in which I'm going to share with you some of my favorite tools and approaches to figuring out what is the hidden resistance that is holding you back from taking the action that you want, and then what you can do in response to that. As we go through this, what we're going to be doing is we're going to be talking about how we uncover those hidden resistances, and then we're going to be talking about a tool called tapping, which is super, super useful in helping you to then release and remove that resistance. If you are new to tapping, all you need to do is follow the arrow in the upper right-hand corner, click on that link. It will take you to learntotap.com, which will give you all of the basics so that as we talk about tapping in this video and all the future videos, you'll know exactly what to do and how easy it is for you to use this tool as we work our way through it. So I'm really excited about this new series that we're going to have unfolded over the course of the next number of episodes. In a couple of weeks at the time of this recording, I'm actually heading to London and I'm teaching an entire day on how to find root causes, how to clear out that resistance so we can take the action that we want. And so all of that's noodling around in my head. And so over the course of the next couple of weeks, I'm going to share with you some of my favorite simple little tools that are going to make it easier for you to figure out what is actually holding you back from taking action. Because the reality is, just because you know what you want to do and you know why it's valuable, doesn't mean that you are going to do that. And simply being in a circumstance where you have a little encouragement to do the right thing is not going to get you there as well. Because if all we needed was a little encouragement, then the only thing we'd actually need is the little poster that used to hang on the ceiling of my dentist office of a little kitty cat clinging to the branch, and it said, "Hang in there." If all we needed was some encouragement, that's all the transformation we would need. But the subconscious mind is something that is way more sophisticated and way more tricky than just giving it a couple of affirmations in order to create that particular change. Because the reality is, as you're struggling right now and you're looking at that task that you are not doing and wondering, oh, this is so valuable, why am I not doing that thing? You don't understand logically why you're not taking that action. Because the subconscious mind is not logical. Instead, what is happening is the subconscious mind is seeing what is in front of you. And if you have a task on your to-do list that you copy from day to day to day, and you're not doing that task, even though you know it's valuable, it's because your subconscious mind is afraid of that task. Now, there's lots of different things it could be afraid of. It could be afraid that you don't know how to do it. It could be afraid that you're going to fail at doing it. It could be afraid you're going to be judged by others. It could be afraid that you're going to have success and success is going to complicate your life. Now, as you hear all of those things, again, intellectually you go, well, that's not that big of a deal. I can learn how to do it. I can handle success. I can figure out the struggle that goes along the way. But the subconscious mind does not think logically. It thinks in a very black and white way, trying to keep you safe so that you don't get into trouble. The primary goal of the subconscious mind is safety, and safety is always going to win. And what's super, super important to remember with the subconscious mind is safety is a short-term thing. Because I could be in a circumstance where I could sell a new product, I could grow my business, I could make a bunch of money, I could grow my audience, I could do all of those things. And in the long term, that is something that creates more safety. If I have more resources coming into my business, then I have a larger safety net. so I know I'm going to be safer. But in a short-term way, the subconscious mind is not thinking about that. It is only thinking about this particular moment. And if it sees an action that I'm taking in a short-term way as dangerous, it doesn't matter down the road what all of those intellectual conscious understandings of what success looks like. And so it's only thinking about this moment. So in this multi-part series, as I teach you how I unpack and uncover resistance to taking action and what we can do about it, today I'm going to share with you my favorite. That's the reason why we're kicking off the series with this. And not a day goes by that I don't use this particular approach. I use it for myself every single day. And every single day I work with a class or a client, I use it at least once. And oftentimes I use it multiple times a day. I even use it multiple times a day with individual clients. And so this is the way that it works. So we are notoriously bad eyewitnesses to our own experience. That I can tell you what I think happened, and I am not telling you accurately what happened because everything I remember is an interpretation. And so when I am describing why I am the way that I am in a conscious way, I might come up with a really, really logical explanation. But just because it's a logical explanation doesn't mean it's true. One of my clients approached me and she said that she wanted to do a number of sessions so that she could get over her fear of public speaking. Now, she came in and we got down for our first session and she said, "Okay, Gene, I am afraid of public speaking and I know exactly why. When I was in grade school, I was doing show and tell. And in the middle of show and tell, I was showing off my little hamster. My hamster got away. It started running around the classroom. And as I tried to catch it, all the students in the class pointed and laughed at me. That is the reason why I'm afraid to speak in public." Now, that is a absolutely reasonable, coherent explanation as to why my client was afraid to speak in public. The problem is, that isn't the reason why she was afraid to speak in public. So after we did a little work, what we came to discover was it had nothing to do with this childhood memory, but instead, it was the first time she was ever giving a presentation in which her boss's boss was going to be in the room. And so she was going to be seen by someone who didn't know her super well, but might influence her career going forward. And that's the reason why she was scared. But because she knew oftentimes a past experience makes a fear show up in this particular moment, she went looking through her past to find an experience that explained the reason why she was afraid to speak in public. And again, it was 100% logical and reasonable. And we are notoriously bad eyewitnesses to our own experience. And so that's exactly what she was experiencing. And so what we want to do is we want to find a way to get information from the subconscious mind. But we don't have direct access to the subconscious mind. And so what we need to do is we need to find some sort of way to mediate to get that information out of the subconscious mind. And one of my favorite types of mediators is our physical body. Because our physical body can give us information. And if we then, and I'll show you how to do this in just a moment, if we then ask questions of that information, we get even more information. And for whatever reason, in the process I'm going to show you here, we're creating a half a step of disassociation from our experience. So we're not sitting in the middle of it trying to figure it out, but we're slightly standing on the outside looking in. And when we're on the outside looking in, it makes it just a little easier for us to get information to translate what is going on through the subconscious mind. So the process is really, really super simple. We do a simple piece of imagination and we ask 2 questions, and that's all we need to do. So I want you to do this with me right now. I want you to take a nice big deep breath and just feel your way into your body. You know, notice your legs. Oftentimes when I'm seated down, I only notice the upper part of my body and I don't notice my lower part of my body. Take another nice big deep breath and just feel your way into your body where you are right now. Now what I want you to do is I want you to imagine a task that you have been avoiding. I want you to imagine a task that is super valuable, is super important, and for some reason, you just keep moving it to the next day, to the next day, to the next day. And I want you to tune in and I want you to imagine doing that thing. And so I'm going to imagine an outreach that I need to do that is a little bit scary, but we're going to do it, and this is what it's going to feel like. So I'm sitting here, I'm imagining that I'm going to send that email to this person. So I'm going to finish recording this video, I'm going to sit down here, and I'm going to type out that email. Now, as I do that, I notice in my body. And as I do that right now and I scan my body, what I notice through the middle of my solar plexus is this tightness that is showing up. So as you imagine taking that action, what do you notice? Is it a tightness in the body? Is there pressure being put somewhere? Do your feet feel like you want to flee? Do you feel like you want to hide under the covers? Is there this chattery thing in your brain telling you to run away? Does it feel like there's a wall in front of you, reins pulling you back, shackles holding you down? It doesn't matter what it is, but I want you to tune into that sensation. So now we have a physical sensation that goes along, and this physical sensation is the thing that is going to serve as a translator to our subconscious mind. So now what you're going to need to do, and this is going to be a little bit of a stretch for some of you, you might not have done this before. What I want you to do is I want you to talk to the physical sensation as if it had consciousness, as if it had agency, as if it was its own little being. And there's two questions we're going to ask. The first question is, what are you afraid of, or what do you think is going to go wrong? The second question is, what proof do you have that this is a possibility or a probability? And so as I take a nice big deep breath, I tune in, I imagine myself sending that email, I tune into my solar plexus, and I ask it, what is it afraid of? And very quickly I hear, very instantaneously coming out of that particular space is, they're going to think you're a fool and laugh at you for making this ask. Now, it makes perfect sense when I now understand that when I am wanting to do this task, I'm wanting to move forward, I'm wanting to be successful in this particular way, it now makes sense as to why I wouldn't be taking that action. Because I don't know about you, I don't like people laughing at me and laughing at my ideas. And so if my subconscious mind believes me sending this request is going to have someone laughing at me for sending that particular request, of course I'm not going to do it, because my subconscious mind's primary goal is to keep me safe, and it doesn't want me to be laughed at. So I now know what is going on there. So now the second question I ask is, what proof do you have that this is a possibility or a probability? I'm going to take a nice big deep breath. Imagine taking the action, me sending the email, tuning into the space. What proof do you have? And it comes back, sometimes people think your ideas are really silly because they just don't get them. And I recognize that fact. That's true about me. I have a tendency to be doing things that are a little bit on the edges, that are making us stretch, that are making us grow, which is awesome, except sometimes people don't take very kindly to that. Now, again, intellectually, now as I process my way through this, I'm now in a situation where I see that logically, this is something really useful. Logically, they might ignore it, but they're probably not going to laugh at me. Logically, I know that there are times that I take action that stretch people, and the sum total of my life that is good, even if sometimes it is difficult. So intellectually, I can see that, but still, there's this emotional resistance that's trying to keep me safe. So now that we have unpacked what that resistance is, we now know exactly what we want to be tapping on. And again, for those of you who are new to tapping, tapping is something that gives us the ability to tune into those fears, to transform them, to release them. So you can see how simple that little approach is. Just by imagining yourself taking the action, asking two questions, all of a sudden you have access to what your subconscious mind is afraid of. For me, I then go after that with tapping. If you're new to tapping, go to learntotap.com and see how exactly we do that. But it doesn't matter the tool set that you use. You now have access to those particular things. If you enjoyed your way through this particular little process, make sure you click on the little button that is there on your screen right now with the playlist of all the videos, as we are going to unpack a whole bunch of tools that I love to use to be able to find resistance. For Tapping Q&A, this is Monterastelli. I look forward to talking to you again real soon.